Hey everyone. So today we're going to be looking at ChatGPT and responding to and reacting to some of the prompts that we give it. So if you're not familiar with ChatGPT, basically an AI that's open source that just came out in this past November of 2022. And while it's not an everyday, tool that firms like ours can use, I think it begins to show, and you'll see today, it'll show some of the technology and how we can use AI in the future. But it's pretty cool, some of the responses that we're going to get. So let's test it out. So I have ChatGPT open. Let's ask it, why do businesses not invest in more accounting automations? Something I ask myself every day. So businesses may not invest in more accounting automations, says for a variety of reasons. Number one, lack of awareness or understanding of the potential benefits and cost savings. That's a huge one. I think one of the challenges with that is really understanding what can you automate, not really knowing what processes can and can't be automated. And it's one of those things that it's not until you get in there that you can really understand that. Second, we have high upfront development costs. That's a big one that I see. That's something that at GrowthLab, we've tried to tackle ourselves. We faced that, years back when we started to really use Zapier and kind of outsource some of these things. And we realized that that's inhibitive to automating things. So, how we've dealt with that, our AppStream service does no upfront development costs, and we do it all on a monthly subscription basis. Difficulty in integrating automation software with existing systems. That's big, especially in our industry, especially a lot of like the tax softwares and whatnot, some of these accounting softwares that have, really strict data privacy laws or restrictions. They don't have open APIs, or they don't connect with Make or Zapier or these other tools. So there can definitely be a challenge there. Concerns about the potential loss of jobs. That's huge for a lot of firms. The way I approach that is, or what I like to believe, is that automation should not be there to replace jobs. Automation should be there to support them and make them more efficient and help us grow and scale better, not replace people. Difficulty in obtaining funding to invest in automation. I can see that, especially if you're used to high upfront development costs. Once again, though, we're trying to break that mold and use monthly subscriptions as a way of providing these automations. So those are the 5 it gave us. I think it's pretty remarkable how it touches all of the points that I usually talk about with other firms. These are all things that firms have brought up, and it's one of the first reasons why I think that ChatGPT is going to be immensely valuable in our future. Let's ask it something else, though. Let's ask it something a little bit more related to what you and I care about. What can accounting firms automate with NoCode? Let's see what we get here. All right, getting some stuff. First, gives us invoicing. Automating the creation and sending of invoices to clients. That's a huge one. Depending on what your POS system is, that's one that we see and we've built a lot for other firms. There's a lot of pros and cons with that. One of the last things that we believe in is you need to have a touch point on your final invoice sending. Using automation is great for that if you have a systemized process for your POS system. If it's a manual invoicing process, such as for a construction business or one of the likes of that, automation can be a little bit finicky, and you don't want to send out an invoice that's just so off. But if you're using a POS system, or an e-commerce system that can kind of automate these invoices, then the data is a little bit more clear and straightforward there. So, but that's a great example. It says bookkeeping, a little bit broad, but recording financial transactions. So I think what this is kind of getting at is more of that data entry, which is spot on. That's one of the main reasons why we use no-code automation in accounting, is to be able to just do the basic data entry. Tax prep. Yes and no with this one. I don't know if I agree with this one fully. Tax prep, one of the main reasons why is, like I said earlier, a lot of these tax softwares don't actually integrate or have an open API. So this makes it a little bit difficult here to kind of move information between these tax softwares. In an ideal world, I think that's a great one because there's a lot of low-hanging fruit there. especially for the data entry side of the tax prep, but that one's a little bit more challenging. I'll give a little shout out to Tally4 for this one. Financial statements, used to automate the process of creating financial statements. This one's a little tricky. If you're using a tool like QuickBooks or Xero, FreshBooks, the P&L and balance sheet is kind of semi-automated as inherently by the system. That one's a little bit more tricky. Budgeting and forecasting. This could definitely be useful, especially for extracting data, analyzing data, reforecasting, maybe pulling it into AI or these other tools that are going to analyze historical and build trends off of that. I can definitely see that here. A little bit more challenging, not for the kind of elementary user in this case, but surely something that it can help move our industry forward with. Compliance. Personally, I'm going to say no on this one. Compliance is one of those things that sometimes just needs a human touch, I believe. Maybe not something that you want to automate, for all use cases there. Analytics and reporting. It's a huge one, right? There are a lot of tools out there, so this is one of the use cases where automation may not solve your problems by building something from scratch. It may not. But I think there's a lot of cool tools out there that can help with these analytics or reporting, LiveFlow or Sift or Fathom or some of these other tools that can kind of help pull this data for reporting for you. So that one's it depends on what you're really trying to do with it. Don't reinvent the wheel is kind of how I like to approach these things. Kind of consolidate some of these bill payment, accounts payable, accounts receivable. Once again, don't reinvent the wheel is kind of how I like to approach NoCode and automation, right? If you are building something from scratch for your specific use case, right, what is the value in that to you or to the end user? Does it make sense to just kind of use something a little bit more out of the box, like Bill.com or Melio or some of these other tools that are already built to solve this pain point, right? But I think kind of in short, you can see some of the power of ChatGPT, and I think I'm excited to kind of see where this goes and how we can continue using this going forward. I'm sure I could come up with a million prompts that I'd like to see us react to, so maybe that's a second video. Let us know if you have any questions that you want us to ask ChatGPT, or if you have any questions about NoCode or accounting automations. Like, comment, subscribe.
That was great. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe, leave us some feedback. Also, check out our website, growthlabfinancial.com. Again, subscribe so you can be notified for the next one.